Hey guys, welcome to week 3 of online learning. I just wanted to go over a couple of things before I tell you about this week's art project. So, this week I was going through the grades, and these are the grades, just like an overall view of the grades from last week's test. And as you can see, one class we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 zeros. And in the other class I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 zeros. So, that being said, I do email you anytime that I haven't received a test or a project from you. I email you and let you know. I have been accepting these pretty late. Like, I'm still accepting week 1 test, even though we're now going into week 3. But, ultimately it's your responsibility to make sure that you do these assignments. So if you notice, each week we really only have 3 things that you have to do. You have to do your discussion, which I've started including in the Nearpod lessons. You have to do your art project, and you have to do the test. If we were at school, there would be so many more things that we would be doing during the day and in class, but this is online, and I know there's a lot of other factors that we have to consider. So I don't think it's very much to ask that you do an art project every week and take a test every week. And like I said last week, the tests are online. There's no time limit to the test. There's no way for me to really know what resources you use to take the test. So this is a great opportunity for you to really bring your GPA up, make some straight 100s. I'm anticipating that. The principals are anticipating that. We want you to use this time to be beneficial to you. I do not like putting zeros in the gradebook, but I don't know how else to get your attention. After I email and send a reminder and you still aren't doing them, I have to put the zeros in. And then I'm getting emails from parents. So just remember, every Thursday your art project is due, and every Friday your test is going to be posted. Okay? All right, so that was just some housekeeping things I wanted to go over. Now we're going to look at our next topic. We're into April, and the good news is next week is spring break. So after this week, you get a week off from all of your classes. We're not supposed to be assigning any work in any classes next week because of spring break. So that's the good news. Next week, we are starting with repetition and pattern. And so you'll notice again, your discussion post is due by Wednesday. So that means you need to do this Nearpod lesson by Wednesday. On Thursday, your art project is due. And then on Friday, your quiz. Same thing every week. But this is posted again just in case you need to refer to it or remember what the topic is going to be. Our topic is repetition and pattern for next week. So I've also kind of tried to organize your Google Classroom a little bit better, because I know with the stream there was a lot of stuff going on the stream, and that was getting confusing because you were having to scroll down. So from now on, if you'll go to classwork, I have it organized by week. So week 1, I've moved to the bottom. Week 2 will be moved down, and then your most recent topics will be week 3, which is at the very top. And hopefully, if you've gone through each one of these things listed under week 3, then that'll let you know that you've completed everything that you need to complete for week 3. So hopefully, we're learning as we go here. We're trying to I'm trying to make things a little bit more organized each week for you so that it's easier and easier as we try to find our rhythm in this new online classroom. So anyways, I have week 3 posted here. You'll see the test is scheduled to post on the 10th, which is Friday. Your art project is scheduled for Monday, along with this video and the Nearpod lesson. So all of that will be on your classroom under classwork, not stream. So go to classwork and you'll see the topics listed there. Okay. So like I said, your project for this week is going to be a tessellation. So what a tessellation is basically a piece of paper that you cut or tear, and then you make patterns with it. So I have a YouTube video that I'm going to show you. I've also posted the video here in your Google Classroom. So after this, when you go to do your project, if you need to watch the video again, it's going to be posted on your Google Classroom. You don't have to come back to the Nearpod lesson. And so that should be easy for you to follow along with. And as we watch the video, I'm going to comment a couple of things and ways that we can make changes at home if you don't have the supplies that we or that they ask for in the video. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so when we start your tessellation, you're going to start with a square. You can either get a regular piece of paper and cut it into a square, or you can use like a sticky note. Sticky note's already made into a square. So it doesn't really matter if you don't have regular paper at home. You can use lined paper. If you don't have lined paper, you can use wrapping paper, make it a square. You can use cardboard. Just make sure that you start with a square. Whatever it is you're going to start with, whatever kind of paper that you're going to start with a square. Okay, so the next step is to make a shape or a pattern on the bottom. So they just drew kind of like a wave shape, and then you're going to cut it out and move it to the top. Now, if you don't have scissors at home, then you can just tear the paper, okay? Or maybe use a knife from your kitchen. You can cut it like an X-Acto knife. You could cut the paper that way. You don't have to use scissors. We can think outside the box. And the shape that you draw doesn't have to be a known shape. It can just be a wave. It doesn't have to be, a wave like this. It can be just a squiggly line, swirly going up and down. So it doesn't have to be a perfect shape, and it doesn't have to be perfectly cut with scissors. Just make sure that you make it on the bottom, remove it from the square somehow, and then move it to the top. Okay. So you can see they've taken the shape from the bottom, moved it to the top, and taped it. They did the same thing going from the left to the right. So you're going to tear it or cut it from the bottom, move it to the top, cut it or tear it from the left, and move it to the right. Now, if you don't have tape at home, you can glue it. Or if you don't have glue at home, you can just lay it in position, and you'll understand what I mean by that in just a second when you see what they're going to do with it. You don't actually have to keep it taped down. You can move it. But the key to remember here is wherever you move it from the left, it has to go straight across. So notice there's space here, there's space here, there's space here, there's space here. When you cut it from the bottom and move it to the top, there's space. They have the same amount of space. There's space here. They have the same amount of space here. So just make sure that whenever you reattach it or whenever you trace it, that you're going straight up and straight across. Don't go up and move it to the corner, and don't go across and move it to the top. You need to just go straight up and straight across. Okay, so see how they've traced it. So what I was saying earlier is if you don't have tape, when it comes time to trace it, just hold it in place so that you can trace around it and then move it and trace around it again. You don't have to tape it. Taping it just is easier for tracing so that it stays in the position. But if you don't have tape, it's okay. You can just leave it, hold it in position with your fingers as you trace around it and then move it. So you're going to keep tracing the patterns. Do not overlap the patterns and do not have spaces in between. So this video will show you what it's supposed to look like when you're finished. Okay, so notice they traced it 6 times, and right now it doesn't really look like anything. So they've just decided to put some designs in some of the patterns. They did stripes like every other one, and now they're going to get creative with the pattern. So now it kind of looks like fish swimming in the sea, and you can see the waves going over the fish, and then some of the waves are actually the tail, the top fin of the fish. So I just want you to think about that when you're doing your tessellations. Think about, once you trace them, does it look like anything? And you don't have to keep it just like this. You can turn your whole paper to the side or turn the whole paper upside down. Does it look like an object? Can you make it into an object? If you can, great. I'd like to challenge you to try to make them into objects like fish. If you cannot, then you can just simply make patterns. So they did stripes, and then maybe in the other objects they would have done polka dots. So you still would see a pattern, stripe, polka dot, stripe, polka dot. So it doesn't have to be, perfectly done into fish like they did. You can get creative with it, and you can go online and search tessellations, and there's a ton of examples that you can look at. But don't get too complicated, okay? Follow the steps in the video. Cut from the bottom, move it to the top. Cut from the left, move it to the right, and then trace the pattern, okay? Do not make this complicated or more difficult than it is. All I'm asking you to do is take a square, cut from the bottom, move it up, cut from the left, move to the right, trace, 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 okay? All right, so once you have done your tessellations, that's your art project for the week, and that's due on Thursday. After you finish this video in your Nearpod lesson, you will see your PowerPoint for the week. And so just like last week, I put it here in the in the Nearpod lesson, so that you can make sure that you see it. You don't have to go to another location to access your materials for the week. So you'll just kind of go through the PowerPoint, and this is all the stuff that's going to be on your test for the week. So make sure to pay attention to the bold words, the underlined words. These are these 7 basic pattern types. You need to know this for your test. These are all going to be on your test for Friday. So make sure you're making notes of this. Make sure that you, have this for whenever it's time to take your test on Friday. And then after you get finished looking through the PowerPoint, scroll all the way as far as you can. After you finish looking at this, the next page is going to be your discussion post for the week. And it even says repetition and pattern discussion post. So you'll put your name, upload a picture that contains a pattern. You're just going to go to Google and find a picture that has a pattern. Put it in there, okay? Then it's asking you a simple question. Is this pattern a man-made pattern or a natural pattern? Use the examples above to help you decide. So natural patterns, which you will see in your PowerPoint, are things that are found in nature. For example, this is a pine cone. Pine cones have patterns on the bottom and on the sides. That would be a natural pattern. If it's man-made, it would be obviously made by humans. So maybe manufactured or painted in a certain way. So you'll just decide if the pattern that you uploaded is man-made or natural, and then you'll turn this in, and this is your discussion post for the week. Now, remember, your discussion post isn't due until Wednesday, but if you're watching this and it's Monday, you can go ahead, submit your discussion post, and then you're done until Thursday, okay? After you have your discussion post finished, you keep going, and this is our poll that we do every week. You'll just let me know if you're good to go with the learning online, or if you have questions, or whatever, and I will be sure to email you and get back to you with any questions that you may have. And then go to the very end, and of course next week is spring break, like I said, so there will be no learning, no assignments next week for spring break week. So hopefully you'll enjoy that time off and take a little break at home. I know there's not much that you feel like you can do at home, but I'm sure after having online classes, you'll be happy to take a break. So I think that's it for week 3. I think I've gone over everything. Double check the grade book. Make sure that you are not one of those students that has a 0 for a test grade, because it will bring your grade down drastically, and I do not want that to happen. So check your email every day, check your grade book, make sure you don't have a 0. If you do, contact me. You can still make those grades up. And I hope you guys have a great week. Bye.